Welcome to Think Big with Dan and Qasim. Join hosts Dan Melnick and Qasim Masood as they explore big ideas, limitless possibilities, and engage with visionaries, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders who dare to dream big, get inspired, motivated, and find practical tips for personal growth. Think big, dream bigger, and ignite your potential.
All right, welcome to Think Big. Our guest today here is Drew Whited. Drew, tell us where you are in the world. So you're on the road. Tell us where you're based out of and what you do for a living.
What's up, guys? My name is Drew Whited, founder of Waggin Water, and I'm currently in Chicago. Sorry, I'm in a car right now. I'm on the road, just left our warehouse. But I live in Chicago. 40 years old. I'm an entrepreneur. I've been an entrepreneur for about 15 years. 10 of those were in beverage for humans. And then now I am kind of humanizing a beverage brand for dogs, essentially. So, I'm sorry, what else you asked there?
Yeah, no worries. I'm just curious, so that's a little bit about your background. What kind of led you to make the decision to, start your own business with this Waggin Water brand? Like, what kind of things were you noticing out there that, problems that seemed to not, that weren't being solved that, led you to create this brand?
For sure. That's a good question. So, I mentioned there, I'm 40 years old. I've been an entrepreneur for most of my adult life. I went to college, came out of school, kind of tried to take a job, a few things, but kind of since I was a kid, I knew I wanted to do my own thing. I just didn't know what that looked like because I'm 40. They didn't really have entrepreneurship programs, or it wasn't a big buzz thing on LinkedIn back then. So I kind of was like, didn't know what it looked like overall. So I just got involved with some guys on a certain project. And ever since I was a kid, I knew I kind of want to be an entrepreneur. Got in Chicago, got my feet wet with some other guys that were doing something like an online business. And that gave me my first taste of entrepreneurship overall, which is really what I needed to kind of be able to know that this is what I want to do my whole life, is kind of be an entrepreneur. And from there, just like anyone young in their career, it wasn't really painted perfectly. I just wanted to start kind of testing and getting in and doing my own thing in certain instances. So, my first business was an online business that I did. That kind of, like I said, got my feet wet. Then I had another friend that was doing a beverage company, and he had just sold, his company for a couple $1 million to Vita Coco. And I had known him since college, and we were very similar guys. Just he was a quarterback in football. I was a point guard, and basketball, kind of just guys that like to alpha go getting, kind of we were just real similar basically. And he was getting done with his little beverage, and I was getting done with my online thing where we really wanted to work together. So we heard about some liquor that was made in India, which just took me down my beverage journey. I just started, I looked at this guy as really cool guy that was, selling companies and really young, and my friend, and I was like, I want to do that. So we partnered up and we, started a liquor, and that was just us kind of coming together, very naive, but we just wanted to do something together. He had a lot of early success in beverage, and that led me down a path of 3 products in 10 years in kind of the human wine and spirits industry. I had a liquor, a cocktail mixer, and then a wine spritzer, which is my most current one. Each of those that I did was just, you're in the industry longer and you pivot and you make a better product and you get yourself in better position. And each one of those, it's we started off, our first product, I look back on it pretty bad. It sucked, honestly. But that's what got us started, and you got to suck at something before you can be good at it, right? Anything that you start. So, those beverages got me to a place where after 9-10 years, we had our wine spritzer together, and it was growing, and it was our best work yet and kind of evolving. And that was right during the pandemic. And I mentioned I was kind of underneath this guy's wing for a while. So I was basically kind of felt like, the student and the teacher. But as a guy after 10 years of kind of, basically you're doing everything, but you're just really not the guy that kind of has total, I guess, say so, because you weren't, as the most successful one there. So I always kind of felt like I won my own thing, kind of quote unquote. Mm-hmm. And during the pandemic is when I came up with this initial Waggin Water idea. And when I came up with it, literally within a month of having a prototype in my apartment, Target wanted to put it nationwide. So it kind of forced my hand to come over here and start my own company finally, which is what I've kind of been working towards throughout my journey of doing beverages. So we can dive into kind of what I thought the product would fit into. But my journey coming up to this point has basically been, beverages for humans in the wine and spirits industry, which has been now in my advantage in the pet industry because there's no one doing beverage over here, and there's no one that's really tried it because they don't see the field like I see it. I see it as a human with beverages over here, and I'm bringing that naive subset of my knowledge and view to this industry, which is why I'm now kind of humanizing beverages for dogs in a sense. And so anyways, that's kind of just a brief background of bringing me up to Waggin Water.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And I mean, the way when you explain it like that, it's like humanizing beverages for pets, or specifically for dogs here. You can definitely see that, and it's just so unique. So yeah, I'm really excited to hear kind of what your kind of personal experience was with why this was needed, and what kind of problem you were looking to solve through this brand.
Well, so that with me owning three beverages, you start to learn how to co-pack beverages, how to pack them up, what's involved with the ingredients that go into them and stuff. So really, I thought of this idea during COVID. My dog is the one on the packaging. Actually, his name's Mickey, and owning these other beverage companies, I'm always on the go, and so I'd always be forgetting his little bowl and trying to find stuff to pour water in and whatnot. So I'm like, why is there not an easy water for on the go like humans have bottled water? And within my apartment during COVID, I created a little bowl of water that I could seal up in like a little container. And the reason I was able to do that so easy is because I've packed a lot of other beverages. So like putting water in a bowl, quote unquote, wasn't that hard for me to kind of put something together.
Right.
And luckily, my original concept that I was trying to fill the gap of was really just, dogs on the go needing water, just like humans. Like that same kind of need of convenient water on the go that you can trust was what I thought there might have been a market for. But there was no playbook and no one doing it. So I didn't know. I just kind of went with my gut. I've created beverages my whole life up to this point, and now I'm like, I have this dog I'm always with. I see a little problem here. I'm like, well, what if I created a little, water for dogs and tried that out, right? I did that during COVID. I thought it was a decent idea. Right when I had my prototype, it took me less than $1,000 to get a little machine to make my prototype in house. I started taking to my local dog park and places. And luckily with my product, like 10 out of 10 pets use it because it's water. So really I was peeling it open. I'm giving it to dogs at the park. Everyone's using it. I'm like, shit, man, I got something here. I got something here. And I'm like, so that's what got my idea started, was just this little concept of dog on the go. Let me see if I can get something to test this out. I tested it out in kind of my local dog park. That gave me enough confidence to be like, well, let me just see if there's like any buyers out there that would be interested in bringing this in if I really kind of produce this. And I just started picking up the phone and calling people that I didn't even know. I hadn't spent an ounce in pet industry or anything. I just was like, let me just go see if I can get someone to like see what they think. And I just Googled like target buyer, and I found him somewhere on LinkedIn. 12-year guy, been there forever. He took a meeting with me. I don't know why, but I get on the meeting and I'm like, I pitched him pretty hardcore on it. And classic sales guy, I'm like, yeah, man, I got this like in a couple stores here. Like, I didn't have it anywhere. Like, I'm like, what do you think? But I wasn't telling him I had it in big retailers, but I'm kind of like, I didn't act like I was making it in my kitchen, really. You know what I mean? I'm like, I want to feel like I had some. So I'm like, no, man, I got a couple stores, and he just loved it on the first thing. And he took another meeting with me. And I remember that second meeting, he's like, Drew, he's like, I'm going to bring you in nationwide. And he's like, I'm going to put you on end caps. He's like, can you handle this? Can you handle the demand that you're about to have from this? And I remember being, again, classic sales guy. I'm like, yeah, man, like I'm writing that check.
Totally.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah. I'm just saying yes. And I know I got to go in my head when I'm saying yes. I know I got to go build everything. So I'm kind of like, what the hell are you doing? You're writing yourself your check. And he's like, I need this all in 2 months. And he's like, I need 3 SKUs. I didn't have one SKU. He wanted a 6-pack, 12-pack single, and I had none of that. I don't have a corrugate box. Like we had the corrugate box, but I'm like, yeah, man, cool. And from that day forward, it was just like I got thrown in the water so quick and had to start swimming. And it started my journey. And I tell everyone this now that I have the hindsight. That was 4 years ago. It was a blessing and a curse. Okay. A blessing for an entrepreneur that, is starting a category brand new that no one's ever had or thought of, and Target picks you up nationwide your first day, you at least have something. You know what I mean? Like, no, isn't everything? For sure not. But you got something, and that gives you confidence enough to dive into this full head in, knowing that you just got kind of handed this really good opportunity and platform. It's a year-long deal that I was in there, and I had a platform to start my company in conjunction with Target to kind of help me prove my point in a sense. But the curse was I was learning alongside the market about my own product, which is a defenseless place to be. I didn't know more than you knew about my own product. Like, how am I going to sell you something I don't know? So you buy the ticket, you got to ride the ride. I had to sit back for a year and basically just learn along with them about my own product in a sense. Like I wasn't a master at this. I had just started it 2 weeks before. I didn't know how to use it, how to sell it, what the price point was, what channels to put it in, where people were going to use it, what the downfalls was, what TikTok was going to say. I sat there and just held on and just was like, let's go. But
it's a pretty wild position.
It is. It's like, again, you don't know how to swim, they throw you in. Just start swimming, man. Just start flapping your arms, start going. You'll figure it out as you go. Just go, right? Like I had to do that approach. So that's the curse part of it. But like anything in life, like great products and great things, like, you'll go through iterations and go through like, if you stick around long enough and you don't mess it up, you don't over capitalize or do different things, then you can, as humans, we're meant to figure it out. If you have enough time and money and resources, like you'll figure it out. So it got me on the map as a dog water company, right? And at the moment I got these deals and started getting in Target nationwide, I was just now then trying to find product market fit. So I got Target to get me in. I'm like, well, shit, where else can I put this to try to find a fit for it? Camping World, I'm like, this is a convenient water on the go for dogs on the Camping World. I got in Camping World nationwide. I was getting it in dog beaches and vending machines all over the place. Like in Chicago, I still have a dog vending machine there on the beach for the biggest dog beach, which it flies there. I was just trying to find like, where does this fit? But then meanwhile, the marketplace on TikTok, there was like viral things going on about us basically being like plastic, single use for dogs. You know what I mean? Like we had green organizations. I had stuff that not stuff we were posting, viral things about people being like, look what, they're adding more like kind of like negative.
Right,
So
right.
every small win I would have out here because the product would be offset by the sustainability, just like bottled water companies are having problems, right? Like,
Hmm.
you can give all these forwardness to these organizations, but really, if you're selling single-use plastic, you're kind of put into this group with everyone else together. And the pet industry is going forward, and that's kind of taking them backwards. So I was, I'm already in this industry, and I think I have a sinking ship in a sense, but I'm not verbalizing it. I'm like, shit, man, I don't know if this is it. But I'm in Target stores. I'm trying to find a fit. And I know something's there because it's consumables. Consumables, a dog drinks water more than they eat food, treats, and chews combined on any daily basis. So there's something there. So I'm like, well, I got to make something out of the category. So basically, I had friends that were doing a CBD water for humans, which I have our CBD one right here. They were doing a CBD water for humans, okay? And they live here in Chicago. I've been doing beverages for a while. I know who they are. I see them in stores. I think I have a sinking ship. I didn't verbalize that to anyone, but I'm like, I don't think this is it. I'm like, CBD is really big in pet. Let me see if I can do a CBD water for pets. Like that's something different, like a different look. And
Hmm.
when I did that, that was kind of like my aha-ish moment as a company. That really, it was early on, but I was trying to make sense of where to go with everything. And here's why. It's because my friends that were doing it, they created a flavorless CBD water. Almost 98% of CBD beverages for humans have some sort of flavor. Like that's just how they are. So
Hmm.
the flavorless one allowed me to give it to dogs. Okay. So I introduced that global in my own packaging and whatnot. But now I was able to give your dog the same supplement, the same efficacy, the same chillness factor, but through a water bowl instead of through a treat, chew, or a tincture. And when a dog's stressed out, they don't naturally eat, they naturally drink water. So I
Mm.
just had a really
That's
good
interesting.
it was a really good fit of an initial version of a product that gave me this opening light of like, look, like dogs drink water. If I could just have more categories of water products that dogs could drink that give them value without them knowing it. And
Hmm.
here's why it all worked. Okay. So that was a flavorless SKU that even to you, if you tasted this water next to Fiji and I paid you $1,000 and which one's which, you couldn't tell me really.
Right, right.
Like I was basically, and so dogs, the good thing about dogs is there's been a lot of companies that have tried to create dog beverage companies. I've had messages on LinkedIn from people sending me their websites. There's been vitamin water attempts from Nestle and Purina and places out there, but they've all tried to make them flavorful, chicken, bacon, flavors in there, trying to get the dog to drink something different. Dogs can't speak and they drink water by nature. So I wanted to lean into that and try to like, get on that streamline, that delivery system. So this first one cracked the door open for me. I'm like, okay, a flavorless and functional water. Let's see if I can make more of these. But here's why it works. My crowd isn't you. Like, if there's a speck in my water, if it's a little off, like I'm not drinking it. But dogs, before humans own them, they drink out of creeks and lakes and puddles, and they
Yeah.
still drink out of every day in America. Dogs drink out of dusty water bowls. You want to go look what's in your dog's water bowl 90% of the time, go down there and pick it up and see after people have been walking around. They drink out of dusty water bowls. They'll drink out of the toilet. Dogs don't like, they don't notice the subtleness of stuff in their water, but they do know if you're putting chicken and bacon and a lot of too much shit in there. You know what I mean? So I have some leniency about what I can infuse in a water to get a dog to drink it. Now, all of my supplement ones, dental, calming, hip, and joint, they're all human grade. I drink them. If you cracked one open, you'd be like, this tastes like someone's tap water, or there's something maybe in here, but nah. But dogs, so really, when I had this aha moment with CBD, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go up here and look at all the ingredients that are in the treats and the chews that people love and trust, and see if I can pull those into a water blend and put them in there and test them with dogs and see if it works, see if they taste it. And if so, I think I can create like a dental, hip and joint. CBD is just like a calming category, but
Right.
you have like just like human health, you got like skin and coat, you got like, gut and gut health, you got all these categories. And so for me, the only way you can, here's how I'll simply put it, and this is what I tell people. You have two bowls in every house in America. This one right here, this food bowl, there is thousands of brands and billions of dollars trying to fight to give your dog nutrition through this bowl. But this bowl
Yeah.
2 inches away, it's used more times per day than this one. And no one's fighting to give their dog nutrition through this bowl. And that's our position, like this kind of functional, flavorless, what Gatorade and vitamin water and AG1 did for human hydration. That's what Waggin Water is doing for dog hydration. And we're doing it by creating flavorless waters because our consumer prefers water to drink. And when you go against that grain, go look up any any beverage that's tried to be a beverage, they've all been flavorful, and they've all had to pivot to now being food toppers. Because of the reviews on Amazon, if you're trying to tell the dog to drink it in a bowl and it's a broth or it's this, you're gonna get half the people like my picky dog that won't drink the bone broth. Now they'll eat it on their food, but
Right.
so, no one until Waggin Water came along, no one in America was putting anything inside their water bowl besides water. And now we're showing people that, look, that's a resource to give your dogs benefits. As a human, just think on your daily basis, you wake up in the morning, you need some energy, you get a coffee or tea. You want some nutrition, you get a juice. Your midday, you want something, get a Coke or a Pepsi or a Gatorade to refuel. At night,
It's
you
so
want
true. It's so true. Yeah.
we get 70% of our function on a daily basis through beverage. And so dogs are getting 100% of their nutrition through food. Like they get zero through that. So I'm really just showing people this is a resource to giving dogs more than just, water, right? Like
Yeah.
broadly put. So we've just now through a big pivot this past year kind of really started to like find our way. I've been through, 4 years. I had the initial product on the market for a year and a half. I saw the CBD water as a way to like pivot. I took the pivot, took a year off, pulled my product out of every store in America and everywhere. I basically cut the cord because I knew I was on a sinking ship. And I said, forget it. I'm just going all in on this. I went with my gut, created that pivot, which gave us these new ones a year ago. Basically today is when I released these new ones. And so now I'm a year into having kind of this new kind of flavorless and functional Tetra Pak dental calming hip and joint CBD approach. And I would say, if anyone knew how quickly I made that pivot, truly, it's like an artist doing a painting. Like I wasn't calling like, formulation teams and this, that, all these crazy people and design teams and this, man, that was an entrepreneur that was back against the wall that had to make a move quick. And if he didn't, his business wasn't going to go there. And a lot
Yeah.
of people made these historical moments in their company where it's listen to your gut, don't overthink this thing and run and say, makes pivotal moments that'll put you on a bigger path. And so that one was super pivotal. And, if I were throwing a dart at a dartboard, bullseye being trying to get the bullseye, I mean, we got pretty damn close. Like, meaning like I put something back in the market, now having it out there for a year in different channels, markets, channels all over, trade shows, events, you name it, influencers. I've had it in a lot of places. Now I can judge where did it land on the map. And it was really, really close. And that was really, I started two companies under the same umbrella. This is version one now of a whole new product. So I honestly don't know what I don't know about these again. Well, now I do, but I did that process twice. That same song and dance, I did it twice now. Like no one had ever put bowl and water in that bowl, just like they had never done the previous one. So I'm kind of just the thing is I'm trying to crack the code to dog hydration. And I'm taking big swings and iterations and market trials with the big partners. And I'm this close to kind of turning that corner of getting figured out in a big way. And once I do, the upside and the reason people I think have their eye on us, and I know this because we're getting approached to whether it be acquired or just interest in investments or things, just there's so many food brands. We're bringing a different approach, right? And like the humanization of pets is such a big thing that I'm just humanizing beverages and people kind of see it, but it like takes someone that you can trust to build it for a while. And that's kind of like, what we're attempting to do.
Yep. No, it is. It really is so unique. And so your two kind of big pivots during that time was, one going from, like a functional product of the on-the-go water into this, CBD calming dental hip and joint kind of functional flavorless water. And then also changing from, I can see on the website, it doesn't look like you're doing single-use plastic anymore. It looks like it's cardboard packaging now, right?
Correct. Yeah. Once I had
Yeah.
once I had a chance to read, again, like these steps are like you take your product, you give it to the industry in a mass way. They give you feedback, you come back, you get a better version that you think that they want now. And that's kind of like what we did in a sense. So the plastic, there's no way I was touching plastic after that being such
Yeah.
a call.
I don't blame you.
I went like the opposite way and did that. And then, yeah, now after a year of this, we are now taking another really big step in our journey. I have a new product coming out that's going to be like, that's the best thing about being a small, really small team, just me, and really in a place where I don't have a commodity yet. And I'm trying to crack a code to it.
Mhm.
Being nimble is our advantage. Me being able to get a product to market quick and test it quick enough and get feedback and iterate again is going to get us to the place we want to go quicker than otherwise people that are doing it way down with way more things. If I had $1 million in my hand with that current set, or any of these products, just willingly to go out there, I could have maybe just been too focused on those versus listening to the market where it's taking me now kind of. So we've been really tight and that's allowed us to, see the field correctly, not be overwhelmed by, just figuring out organically really. So, anyways.
That makes perfect sense. And I'm curious too, like it seems like your retail took off pretty quick from like day one with Target and then into Camping World. But what do your numbers kind of look like? Like how much like direct to consumer online business are you doing? What like as a fraction of like your total revenue from all the things you have going on? Like how does the e-commerce stack up to your retail deals?
It hasn't been much of relevance because the macros of this, if you look at every beverage brand, it doesn't matter if you're Gatorade, Prime, you name a beverage brand, they focus on winning at retail because there's way
Yeah.
more dollars available than to ship this heavy water all over the US at a low MSRP, basically.
Mm.
Well, like early on in my business, because I had early relationships, currently still in retail at the place I want to win at first, that's the most profitable. And I didn't have a lot of tons of resources to be on all of them. The short answer is it made easier money being in physical retail for me in both mass channels such as Target, Home Goods, Camping World. Then you talk about pet specialty, which are mom and pop. You're talking big box, little guy. So I have pet stores across the US. All of that channel is way more profitable for not only me, but it's the same reason beverage in general. It's because of the nature of it, the product economics of it is why retail is just where you want to win at heavily. So direct to consumer, to be honest with you, in my current model, just as of recently, I've really cracked the code to having a super crazy relationship with UPS that I somehow established.
No, awesome. Yeah.
And then also just baking in more products and margins and bundles that allow me more room. But until now, like for me to take an online order from a retailer and to ship it to California from Chicago, I would lose money on that because of the weight of the product, basically. So I'm kind of taking opportunities knowing I'm at a loss for that, but knowing it, I'm growing the business almost like a marketing channel, almost pictured as that, as such as like, and that way I don't feel bad for it being like, taking a loss. But no, I'm just kidding. But like, so DTC hasn't been anything, and I've come from other brands that have ability to be more aggressive on that. I just haven't really been, if you look even now, I haven't even been able to, like, I've been available on Amazon just as a brand to be available for my consumer space. Never ran one ad, never paid for one review. And that's what that game is. Honestly, Amazon is a really facilitate the machine type of thing.
Yeah.
It's very not showing if you're, the more reviews you have, the more you just know how to play this, like often, like I'm not going to get into all this or that, but we've just really kind of in our first, relaunching these, I've only had them for about a year now. So our first year here now has been really putting our roots down in places that we know that we can really get easy money reoccurring. And then now this next few months, you'll really see our online focus go up. We just got into Chewy. We're on Amazon. Obviously, we have our own direct to consumer.
Nice.
And so it will be a bigger play very soon here.
Cool. So, and then what are your plans what kind of like strategies are you thinking about implementing to like help grow the online side of the business?
Well, the online side of the business, I think, is a trickle down effect from us doing the work in the marketplace by, being in the right places there where the brand deserves to be played and used. And so, for example, like it's a dog beverage brand and I am the dog beverage brand and I am the dog water brand. It lends itself to tons of events and places like basically I own the event space, a dog event, big or small. Like Waggin Water kind of fills that gap with like different like humanizing like little pup tails. We do menus and stuff, and no one else has beverages in our space. And what happens is dogs are thirsty at events, so we've kind of become synonymous with owning this like dog event space, which is a little niche but pretty damn big.
It's awesome. Yeah.
And really, those sort of like online ads and we some of our stuff that we do. If you followed our Waggin Water page, or if you see me, I'm very open about our journey, especially on Instagram. On our Instagram pages and TikToks, I'm just show our journey really authentically, and that kind of we'll have certain ones of there where I just boost those and do certain strategies around those only because we haven't been a heavily, it just hasn't been a focus of ours. So we don't do a lot of strategies or spend money on that yet. I spend more money physically out in the marketplace doing stuff within my retailers and doing events and doing stuff at dog bars and restaurants and all kinds of stuff out here. And as I become more familiar, or as our product and as we become just more consumed in the marketplace, it trickles down to us being able to do more things online, just flexibility wise and smarter dollars. Really, my dollars aren't smartly spent on there because it's really still, kind of somewhat testing some of those markets sometimes a little bit.
Yeah, that's awesome. And as far as growth things go, I know you say you have a new product coming out, maybe looking to expand the online side of the business a little more. Obviously, going to continue to nurture the existing retail relationships that you have. Now, how do you project your growth in 2024 relative to how it's been the past few years? Is it kind of the same? You're expecting more this year, maybe a slight dip? What is it kind of looking like for you?
Man, I'll be honest with you. I think in our next 12 months, it's going to be a hockey stick. I mean, and that's telling. That's not like that's telling of how much I haven't done yet. Revenue to me hasn't been a metric I care about because I've been trying to get the code unlocked. And until you got the product code unlocked, it doesn't matter how much you're spending to test and figure that out. So to me and my investors, the reason they get behind this project, look, if you want to go evaluate a lot of projects out there and things, you look at a commodity space, another pet food, like revenue is a big metric.
Hmm.
And it's been, but I haven't been chasing revenue at the expense of getting it the combination right. And I've spent 4 years with tons of variations, and now our current set. And I didn't mention our our new product and this new secondary thing to add a very big layer. But now we've kind of unlocked all of that right now, and I know that because now I'm getting like the things I want to see as far as sales repeat. But that's only been recently as far as a couple additions and things we've done. Because again, it's a very fast moving thing of me trying to figure out a big category. No one has my playbook. Not Pepsi, not Gatorade, not Nestle, Purina. There's not one pet brand that can tell you how to do what we're doing because no one's, done it right yet. So it's like
Right.
I'm kind of just trying to get it right. And it's been a different type of like, so all three of our first, the first 2.5 years, we're all doing less than 100K in a year. And that's selling a 79-cent little cup of water that doesn't have a market for it. No one's looking for it. Like, so, none of our revenue numbers are going to come on here and blow anyone out of the water. Our perseverance and our ability to stick around long enough to keep our chips on the table, knowing that our long-term vision is what it is, but we just need some time to try it out and get it right. That's really where we're at. And we're this far away from turning the corner. And everyone, with a few additions of some things we're doing that are pretty heavy things, pretty soon people are going to kind of look at me like, man, these, like, what the hell were they doing this whole time? They were doing this and like, what? Like, there was that. Like, and that's really quick to how much, but really that's a lot of things. When you work at something 4 years long enough, and if you're a skilled enough entrepreneur and you got enough mind and trustworthy people around you, and you truly have you can't just be digging in an empty place with nothing, but if you have something there, and I'm telling you, man, we get our door knocked on a lot because people know this consumables market. If I can tap into your dog's water bowl, the ability is like big, like ceiling, like, and where we could go is really, and that's why I've stuck around. I truly know we're this close to kind of really turning a corner, and that this year I think is a major jump for us.
That's awesome. I think that's really important for people to hear. I think a lot of maybe younger entrepreneurs or, entrepreneurs that maybe are a little more seasoned, but are, maybe into something a little bit newer, kind of like you are. I think it's important for them to hear that because I think so often, a lot of entrepreneurs can just kind of get kind of obsessed with the revenue numbers year over year and just, get that 30% every year, regardless of, if the product maybe lacks a little bit or, your product development isn't where you wanted it to be, but like you still got that 30% revenue growth, maybe at the expense of, the product being where you want it or your margins being where you want them. So I think somebody who's been, in such a long journey with this thing like you have, I think it's really important for people to hear that, you're still willing to, just take it back for a second, make sure you're doing the right things at the right time so that you can worry about the revenue later on and make sure that it keeps coming in the future. I
Right.
think
I
it's a
mean,
really important point.
yeah, exactly, man. And I'm 40 and I've had many companies now. So you just get your importance of things just gets, you start to figure out what's really important here. And
Right.
I know the game I'm playing over here isn't as sexy as saying the things that my other entrepreneurs are bragging about on LinkedIn. I don't care about that though. And if
Hmm.
you get to the point late enough in life, earlier on, I wasn't that guy probably. Like in some of my earlier ventures, to be patient enough in something this big, I haven't been willing to invest. Like I've been a one-man show basically for a long time. Now I've contracted out a ton of work and done some filling in the gaps. But until I knew in my gut that I was at the right combination of an unlockedness in a place, I wasn't really. This is my life. This is my money. This is my time. You think I want to fire false bullets out here and stuff that I don't truly think is the right time? Like,
Hmm.
and if my investors, like, I just sent out a shareholder update 5 days ago with like my 2000 last year's revenue when I had my 4 months where we didn't even sell, then I pivoted to this new thing. And I'm seeing it out in my third year. And like, I kind of feel something in me where I know these guys, like, I know them all, they're all my friends, but there's going to be
Hmm.
one or two of them that look at that and are like, just from the standpoint of wanting to feel better about their investment, they're going to be like,
Right.
shit, only this number. And then, but next year, those guys with that thought that they're going to call me and be like, dude, thank you, man. Like, you really,
Exactly.
they're like, I
Yep.
knew, man. I'm telling these guys in my share, I'm like, dude, stay fast in our vision. I know we're this close. Just trust me, we're this far. And they've been following me since day one. And my current investors are so behind me. They're guys that are willing to reinvest in me because they now know,
That's
you know,
amazing.
that we're really close to. I think with my new addition of what we have this year, that we've really reached a spot now that we're going to cement ourselves this year kind of forever. Like until now, there's some risk involved. There's some could they make it involved. There's a lot of stuff. But what I have this year, I think everything involved is really going to cement ourselves in a very respectable way. And so I'm excited.
Awesome. So last question. Actually, two more things. This is a question I always love to answer, but especially somebody as seasoned as you, knowing your entrepreneurship career, specifically with this brand, right? If you could go back to your day one, I mean, you learned a lot leading up to that with some of your other ventures before this, but with this brand specifically, everything you've learned about, being in this space, if you give yourself just one piece of big advice, you can go back at the inception of the brand. What would that one thing be?
Oh man. Just be willing to suck at something new again and be okay with that process. You know what I mean? Like because this new brand, all I brought into this brand with all my previous experiences, you kind of think you have things at some point, kind of like, oh, I'm seasoned, or I'm starting to figure some of these things out. And then you
Yep.
jump up maybe a different industry and you think all these things lend themselves. And that was my first time jumping into being my own, when you have a co-founder, even though you both operate both as the CEO kind of interchangeably, you don't
Hmm.
quite drive that car like they possibly were driving it. Until you have that, like, you don't know what that feels like. And I needed to be patient with that. And like my first year or two, and now I'm in fourth year of having this brand specifically, and then my own car for 4 years where I'm driving the whole thing. And I didn't respect enough that probably enough that whole process of doing it on your own and having it as your baby completely. And my other partner, kind of, I was secondarily, in a sense that I really think he had more of that responsibility on himself. And I never quite knew what that felt like or looked like
Mm.
till I drove the whole thing and had to make every decision on my own, and having to have a lot of that weight of every day on me to raise, keep it alive. It's my baby now. I wasn't just like, the stepdad or something, like, it's like, so I didn't, and that's been something that, has just been, you just got to be really humble. Like, I mean, I get up every morning by nature, at 5:30 a.m., ready to go. I love what I do. And I listen to podcasts every day. I read books every day. I'm so thirsty and hungry for what I do, and that I really enjoy it. But that, yeah, that was probably the biggest thing, overall, that I think I've learned, is just to be patient, be willing to suck, and kind of learn again, and, like, be humble.
That's awesome. Hey man, well, I just want to give you a quick opportunity as well, before we wrap up, just to shout out your website, your socials, anything you think people, anything you want to let people know about the brand, and if they're interested, how they can keep tabs with the company and follow you guys.
Yeah, man. Appreciate your time today. Thanks for all the great questions in the chat. Just follow us on socials. We're Waggin Water on everything. So that's Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And I'm just on LinkedIn. I'm Drew Whited on LinkedIn. I'd love to be friends with anyone. And yeah, we got an exciting year coming up. I'm releasing a coconut water for dogs. That's kind of like one of our new products.
Awesome.
Totally diversifies my whole project here. Basically, you walk in any pet store in America, people don't know what a Waggin Water dental is, but everyone in America knows what coconut water is. And so coconut water for dogs is a really easy. There's education online. If you went on Google or on TikTok or on YouTube, there's tons of trusted videos from Rover and big sites about. So I'm just kind of the messenger, but I'm the best brand to kind of introduce that to our industry, because I'm Waggin Water, and coconut water is, hydration through the bowl, but through a commodity. And there's already a lot of like education on coconut as a whole, as pet treats, chews, oils, things like that. And the coconut water for humans is already there. So I'm kind of having a really, a second hand at the same table with this product that's really going to kind of, it's really like bone broth for dogs, the playbook. It's a big product in our industry, and I'm kind of very similar with this placement of this product. So we're stoked about it. Yeah, give us a follow on any of those socials, and it's gonna be a fun year to follow Waggin Water, that's for sure.
Awesome. Drew, I just wanted to thank you again, and we'll definitely be in touch, and maybe we'll see you on here again.
Cool, man. Appreciate your time, brother.
All right, thanks everybody.